Hello, everyone. We'll wait for some people to come in. We are live at Pioneer Park over by Senior High School. We will meet every day at Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
7. Got you.
At 7. Yeah, we're right between the park, and there's a stream right behind us. So if anyone does decide to bring kids, we are within view of the park.
Yeah. Got a great view of the park. And the tennis courts.
And the little kiddie pool down the way.
And the Falcon field. Alright. My name is Braden. How do you introduce yourself with these things? I'm not very good at that. I have been chasing spirituality for the better part of my life, trying to find the truth in all things, and you know, it's got its good days, it's got its bad days. Get to dabble in some card readings, oracle, and otherwise, along with a lot of learning how to trust your own intuition and, in a sense, make it better, make it where you understand it better. And that's like been my field of study for the last few months. And now I'll throw it over to Whitney.
My name is Whitney. How to introduce yourself. I have been working on self-love and boundaries for the better part of 3 or 4 years. And I have found it's pretty important to make room for yourself.
Yes.
We always make room for everybody else, and as a mom, that's something I really struggled with. Balancing my energy, which is what we're going to talk about today. Budgeting.
All of its forms and ways it can be used.
Yeah. So today I spent some time with my sister and we went over my own personal budget, and I feel like that ties into what we could talk about in the group. Because I definitely had to do that today. I get pretty busy, so trying to manage what I'm going to do and what's important to me, and what deserves my energy.
Yeah. And today it was budgeting.
So,
like, with your budgeting and going through it and seeing the fiscal part of it, the financial end of things, does it, like, allow you to, like, what does that open up for you? What did getting everything in alignment with your budget, with what you have, where it's all going, like, what did that do?
that really puts into perspective what I spend a lot of time and energy on. So, if you only have so much energy and you're draining it and draining it and draining it, and you get down to the bottom and you really have to manage it, that really came through with the numbers. I don't know, it just really came through with the numbers. It's like, wow, I spend a lot of time and energy on that area. Maybe I should cut it back a little bit and I wouldn't be so stressed about this area. Yeah.
I like it. Not to mention when you put everything in a financial setting, I won't say everything, but when you're budgeting and you're seeing not just where your time is going, where your energy is going, where your money is going, but it also shows you where you actually have more time to do some of the things that you would like to pursue. It'll show you what spots are tight on money that can be opened up or let go of, so that you can step into those interests of yours. And then from there, it even gauges how much of an interest you have in that thing, because let's face it, if the interest isn't strong enough to want to come up with the money for it, it's either because you don't know enough about that interest to be engaged enough about it, or it really just doesn't pull your time and energy the way you'd like for it to, and maybe look at doing something else that does.
Can you hear us okay? Monique is here.
Oh, why hello there.
I've never done a live before, so would you let us know if you can hear Braden okay?
I know, I talk really low. It's my bad.
These guys are crawling all over me.
Where are they coming from? What are they dropping
Over
from
underneath
the
the
tree?
tree, and I've got caterpillars on me.
Should we, like, shift this table away from the tree?
No.
Okay.
I'm okay with caterpillars as long as it's not spiders.
It's just gonna leave
Yeah,
it?
you were kind of off camera a little bit, so.
Yeah, it's okay. It makes me feel better. Hearing my voice is enough.
Come here. Come on, little guy. Look at this. The other day at the park, I had these big gray ones that had black spikes coming out of them, and they are apparently called the morning cloak moth or butterfly, and it's the Montana state butterfly. And they were
did not
crawling
know
all over
that.
me, and there's another one on my back. I at least hope it is.
I've got one. All right. So, what about you, Whitney? What is something that time or otherwise that you found that you could shift over towards something that you feel deserves more of your time and energy, and why?
Something that deserves more of my time and energy. My main focus is... Well, shoot, what is my main focus? So, I get a lot of mom guilt about whether or not I'm spending enough time with my kids.
I feel that.
And
I struggle with that a lot.
then I struggle with... I spend so much time on my kids and my friends and everybody else, but when do I have time for me?
Right.
So I try to make time for me, but then at the same time I struggle with feeling guilty or selfish, like I'm being selfish.
Do you think maybe that might be something that guilt, that selfishness? Well, let's see. How do I?
You're off camera.
That's okay. Oh, sorry. That's okay. I don't need to be in the camera. I squished him.
You squished one?
Oh no. As you have your me time, if it's spent doing something productive, hence why I push on hobbies and interests a lot, maybe that guilt won't be as much because the time that you're taking for yourself, you're taking to either learn or understand something more fully. And because it's being put, your energy is being put into something that promotes a form of self-growth, it would feel less like you're being selfish with your time and more like you're actually choosing you for your time. Because, that's something I struggle with a lot, is, the time that I have with my kids isn't a whole lot, and then when I'm not spending time with my kids, I feel guilty because the way that I spend that time, I feel like could be more efficient with things going on in my life. My hobbies have been on the back burner for, the last 3 months, and it bugs me a lot.
Yeah.
But then, how do you do that,
Ooh, I've got one. Okay,
right.
so something I've wanted to do is I've wanted to start my garden.
Ooh.
And I haven't started my garden. And the one thing that I've done for the last couple of years is I always plant sunflowers. And I haven't even done that. And those are simple and easy to grow. I haven't even done that.
So that's a good place to start. And then I think another thing when it comes to managing your time and whatnot and not feeling as guilty about the time that you spend is allowing for yourself to be open to be able to take on new things, propelling. It's you've got the perpetual motion and just keeping that ball rolling. It doesn't have to be in the same interest every time.
Ooh, getting started is always hard.
Yeah. So if you can just get started, even if you got started on 6 different things, whether it's a book, information, whatever it is.
I'd have to go get the sunflower seeds.
But that can be its own adventure,
It
taking
should be.
taking a little time to just go grab some sunflower seeds and go into a store where you've got a variety. So you can either pick a variety or know what you really want to grow. And that's your self-time, and you got to take that moment. It doesn't have to be a big moment. That's the other thing, is when you want time for yourself, it doesn't always have to be a big one lump sum. When you get those 10-minute spiels throughout the day, those 20 minutes here, that hour there, to remind yourself that you don't need to feel guilty for that hour as much as just remembering, like, you get your mini breaks throughout the day for you too, and those are just as important. And you shouldn't brush them off and feel like they're nothing and it was just a waste of your day.
Right.
La-di-da-di-da-di-da-da.
That's a hard one.
It is.
I felt that the other day. Yesterday I didn't have too much going on at all. And normally I have a ton of stuff going on. And yesterday was a chill day. And I binge watched the entire season of Queen Charlotte, the Bridgerton spinoff. And it's like
good?
6 episodes long.
Okay.
Oh,
I haven't seen Bridgerton.
oh, it was so good. It was so fulfilling. I felt so great afterwards. And this time it wasn't that hard to remind myself that I've wanted this. I deserve this. Enjoy it. Don't you dare start making yourself feel guilty for binge watching 6 episodes.
And it's just one day out of your entire life. Not even a whole day of that one day of your entire life.
And I still got some laundry done. I got everything else taken care of. I spent time with the kids.
See, so you covered all your bases.
I did. I covered all my bases.
Hell yeah. That's what I call a big win and a little win.
Speaking of bases, I have a trick that I've found that works for me, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on how to manage your energy. So, like, say you have your day.
Yeah.
And you've got 3 things going on in your day. And you go out and you start doing thing 1. And then somebody calls you up and they need to take you off track. How do you decide whether you got the energy for it, or are you dipping into your reserves?
Well,
how do you manage that?
My first go-to is I address the stress level. I already know that having my day kicked off of its perceived schedule is going to rock the boat a little bit, you know, because especially when you get going in a flow, you're like, thing 1, thing 2, thing 3, nothing's going to stop me now, right? And then something comes up. So, like, that in and of itself, I like to look at that and ask myself, so, like, first off, why am I feeling so stressed about this? Is it mostly because it's kicking me off of my plans for the day? Or is this because this is something that I really can't fit into my schedule? And if it's something that I really can't fit into my schedule, then I let them know, hey, I'm sorry, like, I can't, I'd love to, but my day is already full. If something changes, I can get a hold of you and let you know otherwise. And from there, I'm not going to try and cram it into my schedule. I'm just going to keep it in the back of my head, and if something frees up, I can be like, hey, I have this time right now, or I'll have this time in an hour.
Very important to them.
It doesn't matter if it's important to them. Is it important to you? Because you're managing your time for the day. And yes, you've got to take into consideration other people's feelings and what's going on with them, and yeah, their level of what's important to them. But at the very end of the day, what you've got to do, what you've set out to do, are things that are important to you. Now, if they're things that aren't pertinent, that don't have a deadline, then, you know, you can consider shifting them around to a different day. But if it is something that's a deadline, or if it's something that you've been procrastinating on, then I say treat it as if it's got the deadline and get it done and get it out of the way.
How do you decide whether it's pertinent to you? Like, there's a million different ways that you can categorize the things that happen.
At the end of the day, it's, do I have time for it? My thing, mine isn't really, do I have the energy for it? It's, do I have the time for it? Because if you don't have the time, that is when you are taxing your energy. Because you are trying to cram something into a day that doesn't have any room for it. And when you're doing that, it's either letting go of something that you don't need so you can make time. You know, this is where it's, do I hold on to this? Is this something that needs to be done? Have I been procrastinating? Does it have a deadline? You know, and level of importance to you. And if it's none of those 3 things, then it's something that's easily let go of and pushed off to a different day. And then you'll have opened up that time, and if that time doesn't fit with them, then that's fine. It doesn't fit with them. That's for them to figure out at that point. You've offered what you can offer. And sometimes you've just got to accept the fact that you can't offer what they're asking you for. And that's okay.
I wonder if it's a little bit different because our personal lives are different, or if there's this kind of a difference because you're a male and I'm a female, and I don't know.
I
But
think,
that's really interesting to hear.
well, and coming from somebody who is, I like to people please. I like to say yes to people. I like to be that hero of the day for
But
them.
you
There's
did
a
not
rush
make
in
it sound like that.
No, of course not. But that's because I've been working on that. I've worked past catering to everybody. Now, and I'm not saying that you can't go and help people, but literally when you are giving up the things in your day for others 24/7, when you have to question whether you're doing enough or you're not doing enough, like it's because like that's like a mindset that needs to be switched. It's a perspective that needs to change. You've got to change your perspective to everybody else and what they need to. What can Whitney do? Because what Whitney can do is what Whitney will do. And you already know that. If you can, you will. Doesn't mean you've got to force yourself to be available to do those things. And you got to remember, you're not in charge of other people's thoughts, emotions, feelings, reactions. When they react to you, they are showing you where they are at, mentally, emotionally. And they'll either understand and they'll find help elsewhere. They'll understand and they'll take your help at a later time when you can. Or they won't understand. They'll react out of turn, and that's its own conversation. And that there again is whether you want to have that conversation with them or not, right? Like, but at the end of the day, it goes back to you've got to choose yourself first. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of others. If you're not taking care of your time and you're not taking care of your energy, you don't have it to give out to everybody else. And remember, when you're catering to everybody else, you're basically borrowing out your time. And you can't give out your time if you've already given it out. So bringing it back to you, seeing what you have for the day, seeing what kind of budget, if you will, for your time will show you how much energy you have that you need for the day. And then you are more able to help others because you already know what you've got going on. You have time to lend out in that moment because you haven't already given it all out. You're not spread thin.
It's very logical. It's refreshing.
Thank you. I needed to hear that because I've been struggling with that myself. It's really hard to put yourself first, especially when you have people in your life that you're like,
The way that you describe it makes me feel like mine is, my method is a little extreme. Not extreme,
Well,
but like a little extreme.
I'm listening.
If I have my day laid out and I have 3 things going on that day, and somebody contacts me, I ask myself, do I have the emotional, so I also do like a check-in with myself, like do I have the emotional capacity, because I know I'm an anxious person, and if I take on this person's issue that they're asking me for help with, then I will stress myself out. So do I have the ability to handle this today? Okay, I do. All right, do I have the time? Is it that important to me to make it a priority? Or is this something that is theirs and they can handle? And if I have time, I'll fit it in. But I make it a lot about myself because it is my energy.
Exactly.
And it's me that is affected. And I can control me and I can control how I react to people. But I feel like my energy, my little energy gas tank is very emotional. So it's all based off of emotions. In a sense, but I look at everything as what does it do for me? Does it make me feel good to help this person? Would that benefit me? Or is it, I need them to like me still. And if I don't help them, they're going to be mad at me. Because if I come at it from that angle, then I know I'm already fucking it up.
That's fair. I think it's just, and I'm going to go back to it, it's a matter of perspectives, right? Like, you're taking this from, I have this much energy, and my energy is important to me. And so, it puts the focus there. It also shows you. The thing about it is when you're focused on what you have for energy, you dive into it. You touch it. You feel it. When you're thinking about the person that you've got to go help, you're feeling the energy that you're going to feel then. You're pre-perceiving your
Oh,
so
wow.
you're living through it
Yeah,
twice.
you are.
Right? So you're living through it twice, right? So you're basically asking yourself, can I handle going through this twice? We're going to go through it right now. Can I do this again later? Do I have the energy for that?
Oh man, you really do psych yourself out before it's even happened.
You do. I think and then my perspective is time. Really honestly and truly, cuz like if I don't have the time, I don't have to ask myself if I have the energy for it. And if I do have the time,
That's a people-pleasing tendency of me then, because there's always time. Time is a construct. So,
and you're not wrong. And you're not wrong.
do I want to make time for them, or do I want to make time for doing this thing because I know it'll make me feel good to help
But
them?
see, and
so.
that's basically the same thing. Like you're
Yeah.
you gotta think like honestly, when you think
Is
about
it a
this,
priority for me?
and if it's something when you know you have an empty day and nothing going on and somebody needs your help, it's a lot less emotionally taxing on you because you've got the whole day. There's nothing pressing you. There's nothing that's asking you to be there at a certain time or leave at a certain time and having the conversations that allows you to leave at that certain time. Like there are no like it's so really honestly and truly, if you start with time and ask yourself if I have the time in the day for it, then you will have a much lower stress threshold to reach or to touch at when you ask yourself, not only do I have the time, but is this something that deserves my time? You know what I mean? Like, in a sense, it's being
I'm fighting
able...
this. I can feel it inside. I'm fighting this. Okay,
Because
so
you're-
I have like this
because you're-
ADD, ADHD thing going on.
But you're cutting
where-
the emotion away and being able to see it from third-person perspective.
Okay, well, let me say something, and
Okay,
then
go
you
for
pull this apart.
All right.
I have this like ADHD thing or ADD, whatever it is. It's task paralysis.
Okay.
So if I have these things going on, if I have those 3 things going on, if I have to think about all the time whether or not I have time and whether or not I can fit it in my schedule, it stops me.
Well, you're not...
And then I can't do it until I've got these other things done.
You're not supposed to break it down. Like, think about it. You already spent all your time figuring out those 3 things in your day, right? You know how long each one of those are going to take, right? Mm-hmm. Roughly. So, like, if somebody comes and asks you for your help and you've got these 3 important things to do, you already know how much of your day is taken with those items, right? You don't have to think about what everything entails in each one of those items. You already know this is going to take 2 to 3 hours, this is going to take 30 minutes, this is going to take an hour and a half, maybe 4, depending on the circumstances, right? Mm-hmm. So you know, all right, cool, this 30-minute thing, it only takes 30 minutes. That also frees me up about an hour and a half of my time. That's something that I can do something with. And then from there, you can decide whether what that person's asking or what else needs to be done can be fit into that time slot. If it can't, then that's it. It's done. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to have emotion in it. You just can't. So you don't have to tap into your energy reserves to find out if you can. You're like, my time doesn't allow me, so I don't have to touch on the energy basis. But if my time allows me, I'm not stressed out about trying to cram something in because I have the time structure for it. So I can already come at this with less stress. So then I can really, like, oh yeah, I know I can do this. That's not hard. That'll take this much time. I got this. Yeah, I'll run over and I'll go pick this thing up and drop you off over here and we'll call it a day. I can do that. And if you can't, I can't. I'm sorry. I've got too much going on. I'm not on that side of town. It's too far out of my way.
Hi, Sam!
And that's that. Especially because you know how precious your energy is. And that's why, like, I feel like that's why you're still like, about the process that you go through with trying to see what that level is and whether you want to do the things or not.
I also do, like, I try to practice mindfulness between the tasks because I know I guess I almost set myself up for becoming anxious because now it's time for task 2 and I just got done with task 1, so now you need to make sure I get task 2 done so that I can get to task 3. So
I say a 5-minute break and a timer.
A timer?
Yep. You do a 10-minute break, whatever it is. No more than 15 minutes, because after 15 minutes, it's really hard to get up. But it's 15 minutes. It's the timer. When the timer goes off, you just count out loud. 3, 2, 1, stand up. And then you
I hate time.
I do
hate
too.
time.
I do too.
I hate
do too.
time.
But here's the thing.
I want to go back to when I feel done. That's when we go on.
Well, and it's living in duality. It's finding that balance. Balance is God. God is balance, right? Like, so, yes, it is equal parts. All right, I've done what I need to do. I can continue on. But part of that is like, I know that I can take advantage of that moment and stretch it to 2 hours, and then I'm going to be hard pressed and I'm going to be stressed. But if I set that timer for 15 minutes, odds are I'm probably going to get up and get going before I hear that timer, because I hate that piece of shit. I don't want to listen to it. But if I don't, that timer's there to let me know, hey, that 15 minutes, it's time to go. Let's do the things.
No, I changed the sound of my timer, or my alarm sounds, because I don't like the jarring feeling. So I switched it to like
a soft, easy, breezy wake up.
Yes.
And it starts out soft and gets louder.
with the hope that maybe I could like have an internal alarm that goes off, so I don't have to focus on, or I don't always have to have that annoying.
You know, I have 4 timers that go off throughout my day that have no purpose except for the last purpose that they were there for, and then I leave them and they go off, and I'm so used to hearing timers that I just, like, when I hear a timer, I know it's time to turn it off and do whatever. And it's helped me. Like, now I'm up at 5:30 every day before my alarm goes off.
I think that's something special that you can develop. Oddly enough, my husband also has that. And my son.
Just put enough timers on. I've got one that's set for 10:30, one for 9:30, one for 2:30.
I mean, I'm glad that I don't
one for 5:30.
just blow him off, but it also...
Well, and then here's the other thing. I saw this really cool video, and it said, and the guy was talking about how when you make yourself do stuff when you really don't want to, you are conditioning your mind to not supersede yourself, not overrule yourself. But every time you say you're going to do something and you don't, you're reinforcing that habit. And then the brain thinks, I can say the things all I want, and at the end of the day, it's not going to matter, because this is the physical pattern, because your thoughts aren't in alignment with your physical actions, right?
You know, in the same sense, I feel like when you tell yourself you're going to do something and you don't do it, your, like, inner child
It's being let down.
gets let down.
Yeah.
So if even you can't show up for yourself, then
Exactly.
What the heck?
Exactly. And it's not like you got to be perfect at it. Nobody is. But going back to that mindfulness, being mindful of when those moments are there and acknowledging them. Acknowledging, man, I didn't show up for myself. Like, I really got to hold myself accountable this next time
and
around.
give yourself grace,
Yep.
because we're always learning.
Grace
And
with
if
a
we
firm
recognize
hand.
it now, then, oh, look at that. You at least recognized it this time, but you could have... You see where you fell back there.
Yeah, so then
just
you
watch
can
out
error
for that next
correct.
time.
Exactly, exactly. And you're not going to be perfect at it the next time, but you can get a little closer to that goal. You can do, you know, it might not have gotten up and done it right then and there, but maybe you did it 10 minutes afterwards, and you can acknowledge, hey, look, I dropped the ball and I didn't do it right when I said, but I still did it, or I still started on it. You know.
Yeah. Set small, doable goals. The only way you can eat an elephant is one bite at a time.
And acknowledge those bites. Really chew on them. You know, don't just swallow those bites and choke on them.
In a sense, you could give yourself a gold sticker for that bite. Good job, you took a bite.
Hell yeah.
All right, to the next one.
That's exactly it.
And
becoming
maybe
mindful.
that's why I like do things from an emotional standpoint, because it's a little bit childish. I feel like I really like rewarding myself.
I don't think there's anything wrong with rewarding yourself.
I was such a people's pleaser, and it was a really bad habit, and I really wanted to kick it. So I wanted to love myself again and do things for me, because I like me, right? If I don't like me, then who the hell else is going to like me? So...
Man, It could be as easy.
I guilt trip myself, and I'm so mean to myself. So if I get better at being nice to myself.
Yeah. Or, well, not or, and. When you take those moments and you choose yourself, you do the things, even if it's not something you want to do, you can compare that to the feeling that you get when you're helping somebody else. When you see the satisfaction on their face, then you can see the satisfaction on your own face. You're like, look, I did that for me. And it'll feel 10 times better than when you did it for somebody else, because you don't do that for yourself, let alone acknowledge that you did it for yourself. And we were supposed to be talking about budgeting. I mean, it all goes hand in hand. Most definitely. Budgeting time, budgeting energy. You know, I could even tie it down to like how many friends you socialize with. If you've got a huge friend base and you're talking to 10, 15 people a day, that's a lot of energy to expend, even if it's just through little highs and hays throughout the day, you know? And recognizing it's really learning to build friendships on your terms, like going back to like you teach people how to treat you because you allow them to treat you the way you allow them to treat you, vice versa, you know. So it's really finding those friends that are okay with the moments of silence, with not getting instant answers, unless you know it's something pertinent and important and it needs the attention.
I mean, that's a whole different topic, and
a little bit,
itself.
but like budgeting out time for your friends, but this is going to sound a little conceited, but budgeting out your friends. Like, what friends do you have that really get to enrich your quality of life and which ones don't? And the ones that don't, it's not like you're cutting them off, but your time with them is going to be more limited because your guys' viewpoints aren't in the same ballpark. And those people that don't add to your life, it's an energy tax. It taxes your energy. And if there's not any growth from it,
surface level friends and stuff, and making deep connections.
Well, not even so much surface level and deep connections, but you know, I had somebody that I talked to, and they were always they were looking towards the negative side of things. They didn't want to see positive. They couldn't see positive, and I get that. I'm not gonna shun you and be like, forget you, I can't deal with you. In the same token, you're going to limit how much time you spend with them because that quality of life hasn't changed. That quality of friendship hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. So holding on to a bunch of friends that don't help propel you upward is taking away from your life, your energy. And at some point, you've got to cut that connection off to an extent. It's that whole, like, I can love you from far away, but I can't be around you. You know, I have mad love for you. When we reach out, when we talk, we'll talk the talk. But I'm going to limit how much I reach out and talk with you because it's not engaging.
I feel like that depends on where you're at in your journey.
Okay.
From my own personal experience, when I started my self-love healing journey, I was learning how to stop people-pleasing. So I was slowly filtering those kinds of friendships. And then after realizing that that's what I needed, I didn't know how to stop hanging out with people or tell them no. So then I had to learn how to set boundaries. And then in order to find my boundaries, I had to really set hard boundaries. And that's a hard thing to do if you're not used to being a hard person. Or making people feel uncomfortable or upset. Dealing with confrontation. You know? The boundaries are for me. They're not about anybody else, but they definitely make people feel one way.
Yeah.
Or another.
Definitely.
And I feel like just through the process of going from self-love to setting boundaries, life got real lonely. And
you're not wrong.
Real fucking lonely. Excuse my language. And that was okay. That was okay. I needed that. And sometimes I was really sad about it. So I wanted to go out and find all those surface level friends just so I wasn't alone. But it depends on where you're at in your process, I feel like.
Well, you know, you get to a point where you have a smattering. You have a little bit of each in your circle. You've got your people that you just reach out to. You got your people you got your deep connections and you have your good talks with. You got your people that, like, I have a friend that just it's all like gym stuff. We're always talking about gym and health and pushing each other forward in that manner. And that's what I like. Is it's not like you expect that people are going to enrich your life, but you recognize the ones that do and in what capacity, and you build in that capacity, and then it's part of networking and branching. But you find that the more that you find those people, you're going to have less of those others, and you're not only going to have less of those others, but you're not going to want to give your energy to those surface friends. Not so much, I shouldn't say give as in like you're not going to give them the time of day. But at some point, you're going to be done reaching out. And it's not because you don't want to, it's just where it's at. You've drifted far enough away. Your interests have there's not an alignment anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. When you're trying to build and grow upward, and other people are kind of stagnant, I think that the daily check-ins with yourself, or just checking in with your friendship, even alone, like you don't have to be here to check in.
That's true. See where
I think you slowly become aware of what's happening. Man, I just really like to put it out loud, though. So, like, if I tell that person, like, hey, so I have told a person that before, like, hey, I've noticed that every time we hang out, when I try to bring something up positive, you always have something negative to say. And I'm not trying to call you a Debbie Downer, but I really feel like you want it to stay like that.
Like, where's your perspective at? Are you willing to change?
And it kind of bothers me. I'm totally happy to work through it with you, but if all you want to do is talk about all the bads of it, then that's all we do is get together and talk about bad things, and then I feel bad when I leave, and I don't want that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe it's something we can work on. Or I'm just not going to want to hang out as much. And that was a hard conversation, but
it was a good one.
I'm sure there's more couth ways you could say that.
I don't know, that seemed pretty straightforward, and like I think that's a perfectly good way to go about a conversation. It's direct. They know what's going on. You're not calling them a bad person. You're not telling them they're terrible. You're just like, hey, this is something that I noticed.
And they'll reach out again and be like, hey, want to hang out? Want to come over and do this? Oh,
or
do you know that thing that we talked about?
Or they'll shun you because
they're
offended.
Well, it's because you hate me. It's not. It's not. I put up a boundary. Now you see less of me because I don't like to be put in that situation. In the same sense, boundaries are for me.
Yeah.
Me. So that I can give you the best version of me. Yes. If you're going to put me in a situation where it's always negative and I don't like the negativity all the time, I'm not going to be nice. I'm going to start calling you a Debbie Downer or whatever.
Eeyore.
I'll start pointing it out. Hey, there's that thing I don't like. And I don't like being like that. So I'll just remove myself.
Yeah, see, so, eventually you just choose not to give them their energy. You're like, hey, look, I can't give you any more of my energy. It's just not conducive. I'm not going to disappear on you, but if you're going to stay here, I'm going to leave you here, and I'm going to keep going.
If you think I hate you,
you're wrong. Well, maybe.
Then go ahead and believe it. If you wanted to know, you would ask. I feel like you're being mean. What makes you feel like I'm being mean to you? Well, you don't come over anymore. You always say no. You're right, I do. Do you want me to come over when I don't want to be there? Gosh, I really hate when people hang out with me and they don't want to be there. That makes me feel awful. And I don't want you to feel like that.
Right. So in conclusion,
budget your energy.
Budget your energy. Budget your time. To some extent, budget your
No
friends.
one can control you but you.
What if you said connections instead of friends? Because it's everybody. Like, I tell you what, there's places that I frequent a lot, and if there's a certain somebody there, I'm probably not going to stick around for long because
I don't know. I'm going all mechanical with this. Like, if you've got your little gas tank of energy, and you've got all these tubes going here and here to all these different friends, and then you turn them on, and then
It's gone.
it's empty.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Like, control the little valves. We're not gonna see all the friends all the time at once.
Maybe.
I've got this tank, and it drains. It has to last me through the fucking week, and I've got this many people I can see. Yeah.
You know, on that note, it's a little bit of a sidetrack, I get it, but something that I have started to practice. So, you know, going back to, like, if you didn't have good sleep, you don't say it. You just say, I had a good sleep, I had a great nap. You never talk about time missed out, right? It changes your perspective, it kind of tricks your brain and body into feeling like it got some decent sleep. I've started to do that.
Practice gratitude.
Well, I've started to do that with energy. So I tell myself, it doesn't matter how much energy I expend today, I'm going to wake up tomorrow with the same or bigger tank of energy. Because we get enough sleep to reset and recycle. I think a lot of our shortcomings with our energies is not just expenditure, but it's also like how much have you perceived of yourself, and in what way. Because if you see yourself as tired, you're going to be tired. If you say the words I am is a very powerful statement. This moment you use I am in the following statement, like you are adhering it to yourself. And people, you know, I mean, words are power. We take a lot of our words for granted, and how we use them, how they're displayed. And, you know, words can hurt, words can help, words can heal. So it's reminding yourself to give yourself the best chance possible. And not just keep things positive, but keep that perspective that allows for you to be able to have more through your day.
Positive manifestation, magic, a spell.
What have you.
Do a little meditation at the end of the night. I mean, so in my head, you're going to sleep at night, and you are, in a sense, I mean, really, you're just trusting your body to do what it does. But in a sense, you are putting the intention that your rest is sleepful.
Your sleep is restful?
Yes.
Okay.
So, as you're sleeping, you are calling all that energy that you gave out back to you over the night, so that when you wake up, it is all returned.
I picture it coming up from the earth. I've spent what I spent for the day. I'm like, all right, you know, because like Earth is an infinite energy source, right? Like, how much can I take?
Infinite energy.
So then, if I am infinite energy, then it doesn't matter how much energy I expend.
Don't do that to me. I'm not ready for that yet.
Okay, all right, that's a different topic for a different day. You know, I think this is a good stopping point.
I like it. Well, thank you guys for joining us today.
We appreciate having you. This was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Lives are weird.
Our first live.
Huzzah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to check out. That's on you.
Well, thank you for joining us. I think this will become a thing that we do every Wednesday.
Feel free to show up.
Yeah.
And participate.
Come hang out. Join our discussions. If you would like to suggest a topic or have questions, go ahead and throw them in.
I'm about that, for sure.
The more engagement that we have with the group, the more we can do for you and personalize it. Yeah.
We'll go from there.
Hi, Jody. Thank you guys for joining us. You have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you again soon.
This is Spock signing out. Live long and prosper.